Blog Talk Radio.
Hi, and welcome to Conscious Talk Radio, and I'm your host, Linda Summers, and we've got a fascinating show for you today. Our topic is astrology, the practical, mental, emotional, and spiritual elements with Ugo Badara. But before I bring Ugo on board, I want to give you a little bit of background information about him. Ugo lives in Lisbon, Portugal since January 2014 and is an intuitive astrologer. He loves to give his simple and useful contribution to the world, and one of the ways is doing daily astrological readings based on the astrological map that is built with the information of one's birthday, birth hour, and birthplace, mixed with his intuition and with his capacity to detect the levels of people's energy. The idea is to have more consciousness of their own gifts, of their own strong points, of the potential to each one to see how they can deal better with their weaknesses, to discover what they can change to improve themselves, what new challenges want and don't want, and match better with their own personality, with their own thoughts, and with their own emotions to make them feel more harmony and happiness in their own life. And with that, I'd like to welcome Ugo to the show. Hi, Ugo.
Hi, Linda. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. How are you?
Great, too.
Awesome. Well, we thank you for calling all the way from Portugal. So this is very cool.
Yeah,
and I'm excited.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your invitation.
Oh, well, thank you for taking up the invitation. So, this is such I love, that's why I really wanted to have you on the show, because I think astrology, I have I want to say doubts, because I do, but in essence, I know that there is something very valuable with the signs and with the planets and how they align and how they really do affect us. So I feel that we really need to know, because we think of, the signs are in, Mercury's in Virgo or whatever, you know what I mean? So what does that really mean for us, and how does it really play a role in our lives? So I feel with you having this knowledge and knowing and being an astrologer and being an intuitive astrologer, that you can give us some, light on this subject. So I'm really excited.
Yeah, the planets are always there, as I used to say. So each planet has their own kind of velocity, and he has some kind of influence on the planet, on each person, and on the life of all persons. But of course, astrology is here making a bridge between the science and the non-science. And when we talk about astrology, we talk about a lot of things, so we will try to make a little resume in 30 minutes. It's hard. And what is important to say is that the astrology is here to help. So it's a positive contribution for each person, and that's the way I try to do. So looking for the map of a person, I can see the energies because of my energy and intuitive side, and it's a mix of the intuition and what I can see through the knowledge of the astrology, and see what is possible for a person to grow or to develop in their own daily days.
Well, so I have a couple questions. So when you say personal map, is it like a blueprint? Can you kind of define that, what you mean by that?
Yes. And in terms of the personal map, so the astrology is concentrated on the point that in the minute, in the hour, in the place of a person born. So it's very important to know the birthplace, the birth hour, and the birthday. And with those elements, it's possible to see the influence of each planet on each person, and what can happen. And we can look to the past, to the present, to the future, and help in many different ways of all areas of life.
Wow. So with that, when the planets are aligned based upon the hour and the minutes and all of that, is, can that person alter that by their choice that they make? Or, say if that person, if they're in the 10th house, which I don't know what the 10th house is, but I'm just using it as an example. What is the 10th house? Is that career?
Yeah, what's happening here is that there are tendencies. So when something is making an influence, like a planet like Mercury in Aries, for example, he is giving more fast, in terms of mind and of action. So it accelerates the energy of the person, and so it could be, for example, more hard to wait, because the energy is to accelerate. So there's always the opposite sides of energies working.
So how would one know, unless they knew? They would have to know what planet would be in what house for them, because there are these houses 1 through, I think it is 12 or, no, 11 or 12? 12 houses?
Yes.
In the chart?
This works in terms of 2 circles at the same time. So we have the circle of the signs, 12 signs, 12 houses, and also the 12 houses in terms of the numbers from 1 to 12. So this is like 2 circles working at the same time, and that's why it becomes more difficult to analyze, even if we only to look to these points. So we can look to a person who is Aries, for example, and there's the sun, because the sun represents the energy and the sign, and it can be in that person of Aries can be in one of the 12 houses. So we have here 12 ways to analyze a person, only looking for the sun. But if we multiply by the other 12 signs, we can have 144 based elements to analyze. And of course, with all the other planets, all the other houses, and mixing all this, it becomes the personality of the person and the tendencies of what can happen.
Right. So I guess people would really have to know a little bit about astrology, or look up to see, because if things are happening in their life and they're like, what is going on? Like, are you kidding? Like, this contract just failed, or didn't go through, or I didn't get the house, or whatever, it would behoove them, I would think, to check to see what planet is in what house. Yes? Yes.
That's the part of the work that I really like to do, and it's to analyze the tendencies of the energy of the person, the characteristics, and to see how it can put at the maximum point of that characteristics to have a better life. So the idea is always to put the person, making the person feel better than yesterday. And if after the consultation the person feels better with something, or thinks I can change this, or I can be better on this, so being more clarified, the process it's done, because that is one of the most important things. It's to see that the person will learn or will change something in their life for better, of course.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel that is there a generalization, or is it individualized? Even though you do get their birthday, the hour, and the place, once you tap into that and you have all that information and you find what's in the houses, is there still a generalization that's, the same person that was, or a different person that was born at the same time, at the same place? It could have the same characteristics, right? Or would it be very individualized? It just seems like it's a very generalization, I think.
Yes, it's funny you are talking about that, because one good example is about the Gemini, because some people say that, but this Gemini, they are too much different between one and the other. So sometimes just 1 minute can, because there's always one who is more old and the other the second. So there's always, even 1 or 2 minutes could be the difference to change of characteristics, because we can look to the moon, for example, because moon moves very fast. And in terms of changing of houses and of signs, so the position of the moon can change in 2 or 3 minutes, and it could be like giving other kind of energy for the child. So the place, of course, there is also energy of the places, but here the astrology is more connected with the planets and the influence of each one.
Mm-hmm. So is it also true that, I had heard this at one time, that when your birthday comes around, the planets align themselves at the exact degrees that when you were actually really born? Is that true?
In terms of the sun, yes, not in terms of the other planets, because the sun completes like one circle. It's in each year. So year after year, it completes one circle, and each planet has their own kind of velocity. So it has own kind of timing of cyclings. So, for example, Saturn, because it's a very slow planet, it takes usually 28, 29, sometimes 30 years to make to complete the cycle. And usually between 28 and 30 there are huge changes in the life of the persons, or in the personal life, in terms of finding a new job or a big job or a big promotion, or being father or mother, or it could be very good or not very good, or less good, as I used to say. But usually there is a strong mark, a strong moment that can change, and sometimes it's like growing up, sometimes in the hard way, but it's like if the person has to grow in some way, and Saturn gives this energy of you, like, doesn't care of the person. It's just like it's reality, and person needs to adapt to that reality, independent of the strong of what is happening in that moment.
And that's Saturn. And so what you're saying is Saturn is a powerful planet in the sense of making you see things, the reality of things, and that happens, the reason, because it takes 28 to 30 years to go around. So that means that if around between your 28th and your 30th birthday, is what you're saying, is that you will definitely feel a shift? Would someone definitely feel a shift in that time?
Yes, Saturn is usually it's connected with the less good of all, because it's connected with the rules, and usually people don't deal very well with the rules, or only deal with some kind of rules, not with their own rules. And Saturn, it's like you need to do this and you must do this, and if you don't do this, you will have the consequences. So it's very hard sometimes when a person don't like to work, or don't like to follow the schedules, the rules, and Saturn is very, very tough with that area. So it's like if you are a friend and if you adapt to these situations, Saturn will be more good, so not so painful. And so it's a kind of relationship with respect, and with the big values of respecting these values connected with hours and time, and being the duties. It's very connected with the duties, and sometimes people don't like to accept them very well. So that's why sometimes it's painful for some persons.
Right. Well, and I have a couple other questions, but I want to get to, because we have some other points that I want to get to, and then if we have enough time, I want to come back to that, because or I probably really should finish it, but I want to come back because I still think the next question will really kind of tie in with this as well. So we talk about astrology being the practical, the mental, emotional, spiritual elements, which in you and I, our conversation, you were mentioning that each of that is tied in with the four elements that we have, fire, earth, air, and water, which I find very fascinating. So how is that in correlation, so the practical, the mental, emotional, and spiritual in correlation with the fire, the earth, and water, and what does that really mean for us?
Yes, the four elements have this connection, big connection with these energies. So when we look to the water, we associate with the emotions. When we look to fire, we associate to the spiritual areas. With the earth, we connect with the practical, the daily things, the action. And we have also the air energy, which is connected with the intellectual and mental areas. So, and usually what's happening is that we live in a society that is much more connected and like it's more peaceful, connected with the mind and with the practice. So we think and do, we seek and do. So it's like all life we work and think. And sometimes, of course, the other energies exist, but it's like they are not so peaceful. And the idea is to have these four in equilibrium way. So the emotional side and spiritual side needs to be aligned in terms of the quality of life and the quality of the earth. So when we look to the earth, to herself, we see perfect. Everything is perfect because all these four elements are present and they are aligned. So the connection here in terms of living, the life of a person should be to respect these four energies and integrate the energies that are in the lower position.
Wow. So it's really, they're so tied in that there's, whenever we're making decisions, is that depending upon where our planets are as well in our chart?
Yes, we can say, for example, a sign of Sagittarius, because it's fire. It could be very connected with the spiritual areas, with the high values, or what I should do to grow in terms of my life makes sense, in terms of spirituality or religion, or so it's a high value, very high value, and sometimes it's not easy to see because it's not easy to arrive because each person has their own kind of view of spirituality and of religion. And these high values sometimes people burn because when they feel attacked by their own values, for example. So Sagittarius is connected with fire. So if we say to us, Sagittarius, a person who is Sagittarius, that I don't like what you believe, your values are very low. So that's the point to put a person irritates because they are very, very connected with that energy.
Oh, interesting. So it really is very beneficial for people to really know, based upon their sign, what element they are and how that really has an impact on their life.
Yes, we can see like this, of course nobody likes to feel the pain, but usually people feel irritated when they feel hurt. So each kind of sign has their kind of feeling hurt. So, for example, for a water sign like Cancer, Pisces, or Scorpio, it could be in terms of emotion. So if you are very direct to a person or you touch on the heart, it could be always this opposite, very good or very, very bad, because they are very emotional areas and hard to explain, more easy to feel.
Right. And that's so amazing. That's why I think astrology really, or I feel that astrology is so important for people to know, although I don't know a lot about it, and I always just felt like it was a generalization, Which kind of brings, so I want to go back to what we were talking about Saturn, because I feel it's really all sort of tying in, because you talk about the pain with the different signs and the elements. When you talk about Saturn coming in every 28 to 30 years, right? And there could be pain depending upon what sign that you are. If, in fact, at that certain juncture in your life that a change isn't made, right, that you don't ever, Saturn comes in and you don't get the message from Saturn, is there another opportunity for you to get whatever Saturn's trying to have you, I don't want to say do, but have you recognize in your life?
Yes, I must say there are always the freedom of choice. So it's like the doors are open in some moment. They are more open, and it could be less painful or more easy to do something in certain moment. So Saturn usually has this way to show about the career and about the duties and being the director of my life. And sometimes people prefer to relax and not to care too much. And sometimes also the opposite. Sometimes people work too much. And so both are not so good. It is not easy to talk about good or bad, but it's like the extreme. Like some persons only work and work and work, and some people don't like to work. So the idea is always to get the equilibrium, and Saturn is there that it's important to work and to respect the rules. And for example, Saturn is the king of Capricorn and also the Aquarius. So for persons who are Capricorn and Aquarius, or if they have these energies or many planets, many planets on the Aquarius or Capricorn, they can feel more easy to work or to get the new projects in terms of being directors of something or working, establishing a better connection with work. So it could be more easy. It's not saying that for the others who don't have this, it's impossible, but it could be more hard. So they need to make more efforts to arrive there. So the opportunities also always exist. But in some cases, there are more favorites than some are more in the front line than others. But it doesn't mean that who are in the front line will win or will be more easy. So all have the opportunities to be better and to grow and to develop.
Will there be, because it comes around, so again, so if they reach the age of 56 or 58, is there another opportunity for them? This is what I've heard. There's another opportunity that comes along, because if it comes around every 28 years or 30 years, at 56, if they didn't get it at 28, then they have another opportunity that Saturn gives them a sort of another opportunity.
Usually in most of the charts, it's like that kind of lucky star, as I can say. Usually happens after the 56. So people usually can slow down and do a better balance of their life and feel more peace, because it can or it can happen different things. Or I need a new project because I don't want to stop, or I'm happy with what I'm doing and I want to relax more. So it's like if a person is always accelerate in their life, could be funny to decelerate that. And for the persons who never accelerate, could be time for a big project that they never think before. So it could be a moment of a big change around the 56.
Well, so it's definitely beneficial for anybody listening to the call. Definitely find out all the information about your chart. Give Ugo a call, because he does these astrological readings. And so, I just think it's really interesting, how all this plays a role. And if you know when these planets are coming back around, because I know Uranus takes 84 years, which is another question I have. But I want to get to the last one of our points is level of consciousness and purpose of life. What do you mean by that? So this level, and how does that tie in with the astrological, the elements?
Yes, in the personal map, it's possible to see where in the point we are and where we can go. So it's possible to define what kind of mission a person has, what is the high value and what a person can do in their life. So usually this is like a never-ending process, or person arrive more after the 56, but in sometimes could be more early. It depends. Like a person wins the lottery and everything changes, or the person loses everything and it needs to restart, and it has years to recover and arrive to the same level that was before. So there are a lot of influences of the map of many planets that can change life in different ways.
And when you speak of level of consciousness, it's really how awakened are they, is what you're really saying. That's what my interpretation would be of what their level of consciousness is, as how they are in relationship to themselves and to life.
Yes. This is also for everybody who believes, this is also connected with other lives, with past lives. So for everybody who believes that we have other lives before this one, it's like we are accumulating some kind of energy, and the process sometimes it's more stopped, and sometimes it goes in front. So it depends of in the point of each person is, and in the map it's also possible to analyze that, and with the base of that characteristics, it's possible to see the future in terms of the big purpose of life and where is the level of consciousness of the person. So that's the part is also connected with my intuition. That's I like also to follow, and this is what I like to do. It's to combine the knowledge of astrology and to follow the intuition, and that it's only possible in the moment when I'm doing the consultation and seeing the energies present.
Right. And so when you speak of purpose of life, because I guess this is the question I have really is, can one really define one's purpose in life, or is it more where you're someone saying you're a teacher, you're a communicator, that's really your purpose, and how that looks one doesn't really know, or one may know. So when you talk about that, when you mention the purpose of life, is that what you're referring to?
Yes, sometimes in my consultations I see persons who are already doing exactly what should do in terms of the purpose, and some persons don't, and usually they feel okay with what they are doing. Of course, there is not connected with only one thing; could be more than one, but usually people don't feel. There are situations people don't feel very connected, or feel loose, or they feel they can do a lot of things, but it's hard to choose. And looking for the chart is possible to see could give more enlightenment and more oriented and more focus for the person in terms, for example, in terms of work, in terms of a project.
I love that. That's awesome. Well, so how can they get a hold of you to find out more about a reading? Because we'll have all this information as well on your video. So how can they get in touch with you? What's the best way to get in touch with you?
Yes, it's possible to looking for my Facebook page or connecting to my email. In terms of my Facebook page, it's www.facebook.com, and then it's hugobidarra.astrologia. And in terms of email, you can see in the Facebook page, and there's the mail and the contact.
perfect. And again, we'll have all that information on the video. And so I want to thank you so much, Ugo, for really gifting us with your information and what you do in the world and truly making a difference in people's lives. And so I really thank you, and thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you very much for this time and to give me the possibility to share my big passion and a little of what I do daily.
Yes, I love it. I love it. And so we'll have all that information. So anybody listening, please get in touch with Ugo and find out what what's up in your life, where you're at, where you're going, and where you've been. So, and get that balance and all the in the different elements of the practical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. So thank you again, Ugo. We really appreciate it. We want to thank all the listeners out there who joined us today and the ones who will be joining us via YouTube. We thank you so much. Please don't forget to follow, subscribe, comment, and like us. And you can join me next week, December 10th, for the next show, Motherhood's Not for Punks with Katrina Wisdom. So thank you again, Ugo, so much. We really, really appreciate it. And this is exciting. So great stuff. I love it.
Thank you very much. And I feel I'm very happy to know you love the radio. For me, it was a really big pleasure to be here.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. All right, we'll talk to you soon then. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Bye.